FOMO.
My name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and I'm a FOMO Sapiens. And since you're here, I'm going to bet that you are too. And when you're like us and Monday comes around, you don't dread the new week. No, you wake up every Monday morning knowing that this week might just be the best one yet. This is FOMOnday, the snackable show that starts your week right with hot takes, life hacks, listener mail, and even some FOMO therapy. Hey everybody, we made it. We made it to the final FOMOndays of the season. Now here's the thing. I've been thinking about what we learned this season, and that's what I want to talk about today. But before we go there, of course, this is FOMOndays, the snackable companion to FOMO Sapiens, which of course will be back on Thursday with a new guest, Andrew Frawley. Andrew Frawley's really great. But until then, let's focus on this moment. Happy FOMOnday. Best day of the week. I'm your host, Patrick J. McGinnis, venture capitalist by day, author and podcaster by night, and FOMO Sapiens 24/7. As I mentioned, Andrew Frawley is coming. Now, he's the guy who invented the math hat for Andrew Yang, second employee of the Andrew Yang campaign. And as you know, Andrew is a friend of the show. He has come on the pod before twice. So he's a repeat guest, one of the few esteemed repeat guests. And Andrew's he's starting a movement around mental health that I found very interesting. And he's sort of a social entrepreneur, which I love that combination of finding something you care about and then building something related to that. So that was what I wanted to talk to him about. Sort of how does one do that? How does one also create virality, which is really hard to do? So that's what we got into. But today I want to talk about the takeaways of this season, because the theme of the season was how to crush it without getting crushed. And as you know, we went there. We talked about that a ton this season. We talked about a lot of stuff. We had a lot of really amazing guests on. And so what I want to do is just kind of wrap up some of the things that we learned. And I'll tell you why. First of all, I'm just glad I chose this as the theme. Now, when I did this way back 6 months ago, I was feeling a little like, wow, the world is going crazy. It's just a lot, not in a bad way, but just in a, wow, everything is back up to speed and I feel very busy sort of way. Little did I know all the things that were coming at me and the world in the 6 months that sort of followed our launch. So personally, it's been a really wonderful period of time. I hadn't even heard about this Mercado Libre thing I ended up doing this last couple of months, which is this ad campaign in Latin America. If you've been listening, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't heard about it yet, just go to my Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis. You can find lots of information on that there. But that partnership has been immensely powerful and also busy and not stressful in a bad way, but, doing things I've never done before, TV commercial, stuff like that. So that was a little overwhelming. It kind of took me by a surprise. Then there was lots of travel, which is great, but exhausting. And then in the middle of all that good stuff, there was a lot of bad stuff in the world with the war in the Middle East that has been weighing on many of us. And it's just been kind of overwhelming. So I guess just having these kinds of guests talking about how to crush it without getting crushed, I'm really glad I chose that topic for myself personally. And what I know is that many of you feel the same. I've been talking to people about how they feel right now, independent of global events, and people just feel busy, a lot going on, 110%. Like the world just is back, and then more than back. But yet we're all a little tender. And so it just brings a lot of stress and feelings, and we got to deal with it. And so that, my friends, is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you my takeaways from the guests we had on the show that I think are powerful to remember. And we'll do that right after the break.
FOMO. FOMO.
All right, we are talking about the big takeaways from season 10. Let's get started. My season premiere was with Kara Goucher, talking about her experience being part of the Olympic team, being an elite runner, but unbeknownst to many people, she was actually being harassed, assaulted, abused by her coach. And she has now come out and told that story. And she was part of this elite running team sponsored by Nike. So, it was this whole FOMO thing where it was secretive. And so you really wanted to be in it. But once you were in it, then there was this real culture that was very weird and controlling by the coach. And he used that to manipulate Kara. So you should listen to that if you haven't heard it. We did a double episode. But I think the key to that one, and my big takeaway there, is you never know what's really happening in somebody's life. I know we all talk about this. It's kind of it's not a new point. It's not like it's never been said before. But again, it's like somebody who from the outside, things look so amazing, yet inside she was struggling. It's always important to remember that, because people around you who may be, successful on the surface may need your support in other ways, or you may be projecting something that isn't attached to reality. And guess what, everybody? That's not healthy. And getting out of there and talking about things, that's healthy. That's how you avoid getting crushed. So that's a really important way to start the season. And then we moved right on to another double episode. I was trying double episodes this season. I kind of like that. With Agapi Stassinopoulos. Now, Agapi is amazing. She's an author. She teaches meditation. She's a really wise person who's lived a really interesting life. And she also works closely with her sister, Ariana Huffington, on lots of things related to mindfulness and meditation, stuff like that. So Agapi talked about the importance of having a practice. And for her, that is spirituality, but spirituality doesn't have to be traditional. It can be other things, but just having a focus. And she does these great meditations. You can find them on Amazon that I just like to listen to when I'm feeling a little all over the place. And so having something like that in your daily life is very, very valuable. Then we moved on to an entrepreneur who I super respect, Bill Shufelt. He's the founder of Athletic Brewing Company. It's a non-alcoholic beer company. They make a great product. I have some in my fridge right now. You can drink one in the morning, no guilt, if that's your thing. And there I wanted to talk about why he did that, because what's cool there, again, it's that story of the unexpected entrepreneur, somebody who he was trying to cut back on drinking, and then he thought, how do we make something that people can enjoy in a bar that is non-alcoholic? And so he developed this really great product. It's killing it, absolutely killing it. So he talks about his journey to that, and then sort of how one turns that into a business that's really based around thoughtful choices about how one lives one's life. So I love that. Then we moved on to Dr. Gladys, a 103-year-old doctor, 104, I believe, by the time we aired that show. And what I loved about her episode is, she's seen it all. And the point there to take away is that things that seem really insane, they will pass. Like, she lived through World War II, right? I can only imagine what that was like. And it gives you perspective. So even if the moment right now feels really bad, and sometimes we all feel that, just remember that it is a moment in time. Moving on to a little later in the season. By the way, I'm giving you those so if you haven't heard some of these episodes, you go back and listen, right? Now, Sunil Gupta. Sunil wrote a book called Everyday Dharma, which is really trying to use sort of ancient wisdom from South Asia, where his family is from, and from his grandfather, and apply it to today, which is always good. Like, mining the ancient wisdom and applying it to today it's a healthy thing to do. And what I like about that is that Dharma is sort of it's sort of our, what we should be. It's like, what is our sort of destiny? What should we embrace in our life? What are we meant to be doing? And so thinking about that, always good. Like, we forget that in the day-to-day struggles, right? When we're overwhelmed, when we're not thinking like the doctor who's 104 about, this too shall pass. We get stuck in the moment. And we can't think of new ideas. We can't be leaders. We can't do a bunch of stuff because we're just being tactical. And so thinking about what is your purpose of what you're doing, whether that's, a really big purpose, Agape style, or just like, why am I doing this thing right now? That's where that book, Everyday Dharma, really, I think, brings a lot of that to light. And Sunil's a great writer. He's a great human being. And the episode is a classic. It's an instant classic for FOMO Sapiens. Now, we then moved on to two really, I think, really smart, awesome, great communicators, Zamir Kassam, who is a jeweler, and Melinda Ahrens, who is a sort of a storyteller, but in a corporate setting, she helps. movie companies and political campaigns, like get the message out there, change hearts and minds. And really, I put them together because it's important as we work. If we don't want to get crushed, we have to figure out how we're going to tell our story in an effective way, because stories really drive everything, whether it's fundraising, whether it's building a company, whether it's recruiting, whether it's getting a job. And so both of them are master storytellers, communicators, and the episodes there just showed that and give you practical tips to do that in your own life. Then we moved on to Jordan and Tristan Mace, talking about Jordan's incredible work with Tristan, who got a heart transplant, together working on building a new way of doing organ transplants in the United States. And I think this, back to storytelling, when you link stories to a cause to build a nonprofit, has incredible power. And then we moved on to the founders of Nushama, who are doing the same thing, linking a story to a cause, but then using it to build for-profit. And I love that. So the idea here is, if you see, we kind of did this little dip into storytelling, because I think what happened the last couple of years is that many of us lost our story. We got a little lost in what's going on in the world. Knowing where you're going, who you are, who you want to be, and tying it to your mission and using that to push things forward, that is so powerful. So all those episodes are about that. That's how you crush it without getting crushed. So that's really, we had other episodes too, but those are the ones that I wanted to highlight to you today. And you'll see on Thursday's episode with Andrew Frawley, it really continues in that vein. Now, we're going to have a couple weeks of best of, because I like to pull some things out of the vault, give you some things to listen to that are special to me and that have been successful in the past. And then we'll be back with season 11. And season 11 is bringing some changes. There will be changes. I will tell you about them on a future FOMOndays, except there won't be FOMOndays. We're changing that too. Get ready. I know. You gotta always be in a sort of process of reinvention. And I've been listening to you and learning and thinking about what is most impactful. And we're going to make some nothing crazy, by the way, but just things that make the show, I think, better. So get ready for that. And enjoy the end of the year and enjoy Thursday's episode. But most important, just know how much I appreciate you and take care of yourselves. FOMO Sapiens. FOMO. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter at PJ McGinnis, and on the web at FOMOsapiens.com or PatrickMcGinnis.com, where you can get all kinds of free resources to live a more decisive and entrepreneurial life. Want more FOMO Sapiens and FOMOnday? Head over to FOMOsapiens.com, where you can listen to past episodes, learn more about the show, and find out how to advertise. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis and on Twitter at PJ McGinnis.